Benjamin, welcome. Right.
Yeah.
So you have a platform, actually a YouTube channel,
Yes.
called Supportive Discipline, and it
Supportive
all centers
disciplines.
around education and this how to being able to discipline kids and incorporate, disciplined behavior without
Yes.
necessarily hitting them
Yes.
involving corporal punishment. But then
Exactly.
kids who have grown up in Africa, particularly someone like me, who
Yeah.
I could argue that, look, we were smart, every now and again, we got a cane and get a bit of a whack, but we didn't turn
Yes.
out badly. And so,
Mm.
why is because you're very, very anti-corporal
Very,
punishment. And
very,
so,
very.
what would you class as supportive discipline, and how would you say that would also kind of give the same
The same effect.
result, or
Results.
have the same effect as when we were. I mean, a lot of Africans, people from would
Yes.
identify with it. I identify with being flogged as a kid in
Oh
school.
yes.
That
Oh
was
yes.
where we were kept in line. But
Oh yes.
well, you can look at it two ways. I mean, because then your parents would say, well, we don't want to support a child. And look at it, well, we didn't turn out badly. But then on the other hand, you could say, well, you're essentially telling a child that it's okay to be violent. And violence and aggression, it's a way to resolve issues, which we know now that it's not the right way to resolve issues. So, I mean, well, how would you,
My thoughts. Well, thank you very much for even inviting me to your platform to share my views and to have this discussion. I have been on this for a while. Yeah. My views about discipline, which are anti-corporate approaches and all of that, which I call alternative discipline strategies and supportive discipline strategies. I built those. It emanates from my practice of close to 30 years as a teacher.
Yeah.
About 30 years, I came from a background because I need to tell a bit of my story here.
Yeah,
I was an only child for 17 years.
Ah.
And ordinarily in the southwestern part of Nigeria, where I come from, you want to pamper. In fact, not even everywhere. If you have an only child, you want to pamper. But my dad was different. He felt if this is going to be the only child that I would have, then I have to, and the old African way of doing it, he was very, very high on corporal punishment. He would beat and hit, and I don't want to be telling the kind of things he used. We're used to the
that's the thing. That's the thing.
Yeah,
At that
down
age,
here.
we get exposed to it is actually essentially violence, really.
It is violence. But they meant well. They had great intentions.
Exactly. I mean, they didn't really do us any damage.
Hello. Now let me chip. When I hear that, I pause and I say, hello. You may not see physical. Thank God that some of us were able to overcome the other negative effect of that kind of upbringing. A lot did not. Because you see, so many things were shut down within us because of that approach. They may not be physical. Some people, I know in some cases, some children died in the process.
Yeah.
Some lost, an eye. I know a particular girl that lost an eye. They couldn't do anything. It was the father that was beating her. I know a friend who jumped from a story building down because wanted to escape that kind of treatment. Now, but you see, what it shut down within us, or what it created was that we morphed, we acquiesced, we gave parents what they wanted because now we're afraid of the big stick.
We did not become our own persons.
Yes. Yes. So if you eventually found yourself, it is grace. and the fact that you made some effort, and maybe you met some other people who were able to help you. Parents who just wanted to see a well-behaved boy. A well-behaved boy means you said yes to everything, and you didn't bring trouble home, and you agreed, you didn't disobey anybody. Even when you're supposed to speak up, you are not speaking up, and all of that. And so I mean, for example, in Africa, a child sits with elders, where elders are seated, and they're like, and then you venture to speak and to get into their, and they're like, that is disrespectful. You don't know elders are speaking, you need to keep quiet. Okay? And you sat down, you kept quiet, you are looking at them, and you are looking intently at maybe one of them that was saying something very important and interesting to you, and your parent is winking at you to change, to look down, not to look, and I say, and then they say, look, don't you even know you should not stay where elderly people are? Move. So not only should you not speak, you should not actually still look at them, and you should not be seen, and you should not be seen. You should not be seen where elders are seated. So much wisdom was lost. So much was lost. I'm telling you the truth. Even in our indigenous African wisdom. So a lot. We say we turned out well. We could have turned out much better, maybe much earlier. So this is the thing. Thank God for those of us who are able to.
Well, I agree. When you talk of so much wisdom lost, I mean, I have a 10-year-old daughter, and when I speak with her, sometimes I'm shocked because I think like I wasn't this smart when I was 10. And sometimes we have almost adult conversations, and I'm and it was okay. This is very, very impressive.
Unlike when you were our age. When you were that age, you wonder whether you have that latitude.
No. I mean, I was talking to her last week, and she said, my teacher wants us to think of what we're going to be. I said, okay. He said, well, it's good, but at the same time, I think that you don't really know what you want to be because life could change anything. I'm like, exactly. You can't be thinking like an adult. You're only 10.
Yes.
But I was so impressed and very, very proud of her. But I think it all stems down to this having to have dialogue and conversations.
Dialogue and conversations.
Yeah.
Dialogue and conversations. Parents in Africa essentially feel they must be parents, not necessarily friends.
Yeah.
But you see, my own concept, and even teachers, because you see, by extension, teachers too. Teachers are authority figures. They want you to fear them, the teacher, and all of that. And to an extent, you realize that there's a culture of bullying that seeps into that. A culture of bullying. And I tell people that, well, especially the country where I live, and I know things will change, but I think bullying is a major part of our culture. If we're not, what we develop.
But then look at like a country like Nigeria, for example, where parents pay so much for fees. So they it's like I'm paying for a service, and that your child is almost a service or the product. So I want does that make sense? So to a great extent, education. It's first of all, because of the way it is in Nigeria, is expensive.
It is.
So the child becomes viewed as a commodity. So it means that whatever it takes to get the best out of this commodity, I have to do it.
I have to do it. Exactly.
So, I mean, you can look at it and say, look, these parents are doing the best, they're struggling and making sure. And the last thing they want is I'm paying so much thousands and millions of naira for studies, and I don't want a child who will come back with Fs, for example.
Yes. But you see, but that's a good intention. But how do we achieve that? You see, Nigerians and they Africans, we are very heavy on the goal that we want, but the process. The processes that we take sometimes are very, very faulty. Sometimes, they're not even desirable. Because there are several ways by which parents then achieve this goal that you just talked about. Is either that they're saying help our children to get good grades, or that you must do everything to ensure that this child understands. And you see, at the end of the day, I have grown up. My first daughter is with 21 this year. 21 this year. She's in a final year law program now. But you see, I had time when that girl was going to go into secondary school. You know, it happened that I had left a particular job. I was at home. This is a very unusual arrangement. I told the school, I said, please let me have my child for the last session. She will come and do your passing out or graduation, whatever with you. But let me prepare this child for secondary school. I mean, this is what I do for others. And now I am free. Let me do it.
Your own child, yeah.
Oh, to the glory of God, I did that. That girl is on a first class range, whatever, even in the law program she's doing now. Yeah. But see, my second daughter, I did not have that kind of opportunity with me. The mother was high-handed with, because I mean, for my daughter, people say, my first daughter, how does she? But I said she read. I latched her interest to reading right from childhood. Because it's I see people beating their children to learn to read. No, I didn't do that. I didn't want to make study look like reading.
That's the thing. Some kids just turn out good. I don't know how to explain it. Like I was talking to my daughter. Each time I just realized how academic she is and how more and more she's like me in a lot of ways. In terms of reading, and now because we talk about sometimes she says, I struggle with descriptive language and things like that. I said, well, just read more and read more and but she's just that way inclined. So I can't take, maybe the mom, of course, sure the mom does a lot of work with her, but I think she also has a natural inclination to those things. So it could be the same case.
No, the truth of the matter is this, that you can either make a child, you can either ignite a child's likeness for reading, or you make it a burden. Because you see,
there are kids you could argue that there are kids who are more practical, who want to fix things.
Who wants to fix things? I know. But do you know the approach parents still take to that? Because I'm also very open to that. Do you know that the parents don't want to see kids, especially in Africa, go into such? They would actually kill such instincts.
Yeah.
High-handedness. No, we want you to study. We want you to read. We want you to do this. We want you to do, and which is wrong. Yeah. Which is wrong. See, children have their areas of strength. Whatever they latch their interest to the areas where they're showing their strengths and all of that, and make it easy for them to glide through life. That is my approach. That doesn't mean you don't correct children. Oh, I have the children, even where, there in Abuja, where I headed the school, they knew that I was a tough person. I wouldn't take any nonsense from any child, but I will not use corporal. I have my methods.
But that's the thing. But then, for a system or a generation that's been so prone to corporal punishments and in fact that was the only, I think that was the only tool. That was the only tool that parents had in terms of discipline.
Yes.
And like you said, we're not really sure how much harm, because there's no supporting documents or very clear evidence to state categorically.
Okay.
Of course, it's circumstantial. We could say that we are supposing that there is some form of damage or some form of from corporal punishment for the future of children. But what I'm saying is we don't have any categorical. Maybe that's something that's an area of research that
we're going to get into, and we're gathering, a lot of gathering data on this kind of thing. I mean, the negative impact of corporal punishments over the years and all that.
Exactly. And it's but I mean, now, what alternatives? Because you're very, very anti-corporal punishment.
Yes.
So what alternative would you say, or would you prefer for discipline? Because that, especially within our culture, when kids, if they don't get the smack, they think, it's not going to beat me. Even to the point, even the kids who will go, what's the worst that will happen? I will just get flogged. And exactly, there are kids like that. So what alternatives would you prefer?
Sorry. Now, I like to first of all tell people, those who are listening and are watching us, I have this cough. Wow. That it is not so much about getting the child and punishing the child. It's so much, first of all, of making friends with them. I tell people, get your child or win your child between the ages of 0 and 6, first of all. You don't joke with those formative years. No, but see those years, a lot of people over pamper, a lot of people abandon discipline, a lot of people don't do anything. If you are able to win and not whip, I hope not win them and not whip them. It was a Catholic father that said, give me a child for the first 6 years of his life and I will own him. Because you see, those are years where the milestones, there a lot of things are being developed. So if you can, at the early ages, get your child to obey you, follow rules and regulations, guide them, not using spanking on them and beating even at that age, but creating an environment that supports them and that as child friendly. Because you see, when I say things, people say, oh, look at this child, we just left her for 5 minutes and she has put all of this thing on. I have a friend whose little child, the mother was in the house, but his little child went and took soda. You know what is soda? Is this what we soda? The soap. They couldn't help the child. The child passed. The child died. The child died. And you see people say, oh, I said, no. The issue is this. Where was the adults? Where was the adults? You know, a lot of people I see in Africa. I was doing a training on this about a week ago, and I said, and I gave an example. An African mother is going with her child in front, maybe 3 or 4 year old. The child trips and falls down. The first thing an African mother will do is to slap. Why did you fall down? You know, that's the natural, and that's not what to do. Because if the child fell down, you wouldn't want to fall down by himself. Yeah. Okay, a child is holding a glass cup or any glassware. I don't know whether you experienced this, and then it dropped. I mean, look, you had a rain of brain resetting slaps.
Absolutely.
Whereas the first thing to do is, okay, fine. Oh, are you hurt? And all of that. And then this is the way you should hold this. You should ensure that discipline really is not what we think it is. Discipline is not punishment, my dear brother. Africans think punishment is discipline. That is where we got it wrong.
Yeah.
Discipline is teaching to correct a child. Discipline is teaching to correct. Punishment is giving them, hurting them for making mistakes. Discipline is teaching them to, if in the first place, not make such mistakes. And even if mistakes are made, you support them through it. And I'll give you alternatives. Because see, I was just laying backgrounds. So what do I do instead of beating? What do I do? So a child, maybe a child in the preschool and lower primary, you are misbehaving and all that. Okay, fine. I could have a time in with you. I tell teachers that, and parents, you have a time in. In the first place, do you have rules and regulations? Do you have, does that child even know what are expectations in that particular environment? Does that child have, are you intentional enough to create expectations and let the child know that these are the expectations we have of you and of ourselves? Do you have such discussions? Okay, fine. A child has now, yes, it's important. We're not that intentional.
I understand. And like I said, when we were talking about discipline before, it's about intentionality and then consequence for action, but that's consequence don't necessarily involve a whip or corporal punishment.
Consequence. Yeah. I just left a school now where I was told a particular child was supposed to copy notes, like the copy notes that they say in Nigeria. Yeah. Copy notes. She did not copy her notes. She did not update her notes. And they told the mother. The mother said, should I be doing your jobs for you as teachers? And that they don't know what to do. I said, hello. Yes, some parents will do that. Negligent parents will do that. And I said, hello. In the first place, you need to have a written communication to that mother about what you are doing in school to help to support the child through. And that she needs to sign that and what you expect her to do at home, and that there should be something established, which is a document to back up what you're doing. That's one. I said, two, that child, I told the teacher, I said, you know what, head teacher, you need a table and a chair in your office. It's not about yelling. It's not about shouting. It's about that during break time. That child would eat, but then that child will be in the head teacher's office completing the notes that she has to complete. Because you see, if she knows that every day I'm in that office updating my notes, then I need to do that quickly so that I can have my break time and have it with others. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. We have not yelled at you. Nobody has beaten you, but we have created an environment that would compel you to do what you're supposed to do.
So
Even though
the consequence for your action, or for your action of not copying your notes,
logical,
using your break time.
exactly. Not only you do extra. You know, the time that others are now free, you are not free, because now you need to put in what you should do. So you learn quickly that, oh, I need to do what I should do so that I can also have my free time. Okay. In any case, ordinarily in some schools, I'll tell them, don't bother that child, don't photocopy the notes for and later. But see, this child, because I do that, because really we don't have to put them through all of the stress of
but someone could argue, especially in this part of the world, especially if you're keeping the child there in the office.
That takes isolation.
In isolation and without their willingness. Does that make sense? Or against their will?
Well, the truth of the matter is, look, let me tell you what I do. I tell the child, I get into reflection time with the child. Yeah. Write what you did. The child writes what he did. I have actually I've not been able to do this, this is that, depending on them, and then say what is wrong. Write what you think is wrong with what you have done.
Get them to think.
The child does that. Self-reflection and all that. The child does that. And then I say, well, in the light of this, what would you advise we do? What are the consequences you think should come? The child will give you various options and say, well, this one is likely the one that I'm very clinical about these things. There was a time.
This is what we talk. I think this is what we talked about again, having these conversations and saying, okay, well, I think what you find is some kids will be able to say, look, I don't know why I do this. Okay, how can I,
get better?
I think I agree.
How can I get better? So you need to support the child. You may need to teach that child some skills. You may need to update his skills about some of the things. In fact, if I were to handle that particular child that is about not making sure, I just look at the culture of that school and I know that is the level at which they are for now. Ordinarily, I would just photocopy notes for that child. There's no point in wasting our time. Well, because that particular school, I'm taking it, at a level, one level to the other. Yeah. But because that child doesn't.
For something like that, photocopying notes for that child, that could
become enabling for that wrong behavior. It could be an enabler.
That could be seen as as setting a bad precedent.
Well. That's why for this particular case, I wanted that child to overcome that particular because you see, you have to be able to design the discipline approach. It is not a one fit all type like the cane. The cane. You have to look at like for example, there was a girl in the school that you and I know and we met. This girl was one, I think GS1 or so, and at school was very, very disruptive. Okay, but then we tried to talk to her, this and that. She would not budge. So I invited the mother, because sometimes you need to invite parents to say, what exactly is your approach at home? What approach are you using at home? Do you know the mother was in my office as the head teacher? And then we sent for this girl. The moment this girl entered my office, she ducked under my table and she was fidgeting. Just seeing her mother. She was shaking and fidgety and went under my desk. The mother said she knows that she's in trouble because I was sent for, because of her misbehavior. And I said, what? I said, this child that you see under my desk is the one you see at home. But this is not what she is in school. She gives you this girl that doesn't misbehave at home. She comes to school to do all the misbehavior because she's afraid of your cane. I said, we have to.
But that child, that's trauma.
Oh yeah, that's trauma. The mother has put her through a lot. The mother. Just see the mother.
I think it's also important. I think you raised a very key point here. When kids act up or misbehave, sometimes it's worth looking back at where they're coming from, looking at what's going on at home, and think.
Yes.
Because, like I said, it could be that child, for example, because of how she's treated at home, her misbehavior is for attention because she doesn't get the attention.
Oh yes. There was a case. We handled a case like that, my brother. This child will bring something that she should not bring from home. She will bring it. That's another. She'll bring it. And why are you bringing some dangerous stuff to school? We have to send for the mother. She said, I like to see my mom, because when I wake up in the morning, she's not there. And when she comes back at home, I'm asleep. I want her to come so that I can see her. Hello? Yes, that particular child. And then what I did was to say, madam, you run your own business. How are you? Your child just wants attention. Because that's what I call the diagnosis of misbehavior. Some children is attention seeking. Some children, it is power tussle. Some children, it is revenge. Some children, it is just that they're not in a good mood. Maybe they've experienced something bad. You need to know the why. A lot of people who rush for the cane and corporal never bother about the why of the misbehavior.
I think that that's also because that, like you said, that's the only tool we've known. We've only known the week.
You understand? So,
but also, I think that a lot of things that we like in Africa, especially within Nigeria schools, is having a social care team, or at least having teachers who are, who actually act as not necessarily
mentors,
because we have them here.
Yeah, we're setting up such also in schools now. I'm involved in setting up such in schools. But there's also
what you call the care team. The care team looks at the child's well-being.
Yeah.
Mental well-being, what's going on at home, how it's affecting their studies and all these things.
Yeah, we need that in place.
We lack in Africa.
We do, and we need it. And what we have instead is a school counselor who is not in touch with whatever is new in the field of, who has lost touch with everything. Some schools employ people who are not even psychologists or guidance counselors and put them as counselors.
But the thing is, during my time, the idea of guidance counselor it's not even for your well-being. It was more for what do you want to do in the future.
Career, just about career planning and all of that. Because they're not even, a lot of them are not well equipped for it.
Yeah.
They're not well equipped for it. So that's a problem, and the thing is that if you have that section, parents also need to be educated. Schools need the care team, like you talked about, or counselors that are really functional, who really can handle this. Look at a lot of things that happen in schools. A lot of things, even at home. In some cases, where I work with schools, sometimes I have to link school with counselors, with function people who know what to do. People who know what to do. Say with this particular child, because in some cases, for example, I've seen children not once, not twice, not 3 times, 4 times. Children who are unduly, oppositional, defiant behaviors, anger, undue, excessive anger, and bullying of others. When we get to the root of it, in about 4 situations, they said they've seen their fathers beat their mom up. They've actually witnessed abuse of either parent at home. So, and they are bottled up. They come into school. If you touch them, then everything is unleashed on you. It is not 1, 2, 3, about 4, 5 cases that I've handled, and I've had to link them with psychologists, child mental health practitioners that can help such, because it affects them. I've seen a case where all 3 children are behaving the same way. All 3 children. And the elder said, look, daddy beats mommy all the time in our presence. You see these things. And so, that boy misbehaves. The teacher now comes out and still has pepper on injury. For that child, you never bothered why. What is the reason behind this behavior? Because the person who is easy to rush for the cane, it's easy to rush for corporal. But see, you may be doing more harm than good. You will get immediate response, immediate solution, and you will feel good. You will even feel good that you dealt some, you gave him some lashes and some da. But you see, when you are not there, what I am pushing, this supportive discipline, this alternative discipline, what I'm doing is to transfer, to let the child own the ownership of the responsibility for discipline. Yeah. So that whether you are there or not, this child has effectively exercised his responsibility muscles, that is able to, he or she is able to take good decisions, whether in the presence of coercion or not. So that you have a lasting result with the children. I'm at peace. And that's how I raise my children. That's how I've raised other people's children. Yeah. I'm at peace with my children. I'm at peace. It's prepaid peace.
I mean, this conversation, come to think of it, when you apply the whip, you're not actually correcting the behavior.
You're not.
you're actually inflicting pain on the child, but that's not a corrective measure for bad behavior. That doesn't correct the behavior.
It is not.
If you think about it, they are not in bad behavior is not in any way directly, or correction of bad behavior is not in any way directly connected to the whip.
It's not. There's no way. You want to feel good. There's a feel good. There's a feel good. Like I'm talking about the addiction of whipping. Now I'm talking about. I said, look, I see that people feel high. There's a good feel. There's a feel good effect for the person who is applying it.
But the correction is meant for the child. It's not for the parent or the guardian or the teacher to feel good.
You understand? And so they call this particular person that is the person that can deal the highest level of punishment of beatings, and is known in school. This teacher or this uncle, and they say, and say, call Mr. So and so, and he comes out like a masquerade with his cane, and he deals and he treats this child in an undignified manner. I tell people that I'm actually my campaign is actually seeking or negotiating more dignified approaches to raising the African child. We need to do it. It's a call. That's my campaign, really.
Oh, I'm absolutely with it.
That's my campaign.
I've followed your work for a long time.
Oh yes. We must treat the African child, and it's not created by another God. I say it's African child. I say it's African child. So what? African child. So what? It's made in the image and the likeness of God.
And
so
human.
It's a human, human. We're no longer in the days of slavery. Why are we putting children through what some people put us through as slaves?
Yeah.
This is the thing.
Wow.
This is the thing. Wow. This is if I can ask a child, why did you do it? And he can tell me, or she can tell me. If I can ask a child, what should you have done? Then why am I here? Because I can reason with that child.
Yeah.
If I can reason with you, I don't need the cane.
Yeah.
If I can reason with you, I don't need the cane.
But I only need to talking about this reason. That's the thing. Yeah. Do you think that a lot of parents, guardians, or teachers who apply the whip is because they lack the vocabulary, or the methodical thinking or reasoning to communicate with these children?
Two things. One, this one that you said, true. And then the impatience. They want to get it done. And, this is the approach. This is fast.
Whatever way we look at it, you find that for the parent or teacher or guardian who depends on the whip for discipline, actually is the one with the problem.
Yes. He's stuck. He's rusty. He's stuck, and he's a bully or she's a bully, and he's not willing to learn.
Not the child.
Yes, and she doesn't know. You see, that person is stuck. I told the teacher, I said, if this is parents, and I said, if this is the only way you know, then you will know you need help. If this is the only way you know, then you are stuck. You are stuck, and you are rusty with your approaches, and you need help, and you need to be trained, and you need to be taught, because it is possible to achieve a much. Parents who have mentored, they are ever great. Said, we didn't know we could do it without it. Oh, our children are now more friendly. Oh, we now have, they now relate freely they talk to us. We now know what is going on in their lives, because you see, a child can hide for you. A lot of people that use the cane, they raise strangers.
True.
My father was using the cane. He didn't even know the kind of things I was doing at school. I was away from him. I wanted to do what other children are doing, which wouldn't allow me. So when I'm away from him and away from his whip, I am a different child. Yeah. And that is the truth. So you will raise strangers. So these children will do something, says, that's not my child, that's your child, man. Yeah. It's just that you didn't know him. He was giving you what you wanted at home or in the classroom. Yeah. I want children to be relaxed around me. Let us know.
You want children to be themselves.
Be yourself.
And you allow them to
be yourself.
To develop into wholesome
children.
Beings. Yeah.
There is a school that had an issue in Nigeria recently. I'm not going to mention name. And I once worked there, and the house managers, yes, maybe they spotted a particular misbehavior, because you see, sometimes house managers are not approachable. They are bullies themselves. As boarding house personnel, the children cannot approach them. They are bullies themselves. But whenever I work in any school, I look for the most troublesome boys and girls, and they become my friends because I want to mentor them. Because once they establish that I'm friendly, and within ethics that I'm friendly, then they can take my mentorship. If children can establish that you truly, genuinely love them without taking advantage of them and care, they will take your mentorship. Yeah. So that school, some boys, where school was still handling something light. One of the boys, big boys, came and said, "Sir, school is just joking. No. There's so going on, so going on, no. Bigger than what the school was handling." And I was able to get to the root of it, and to the credit of that school, they actually expelled 5 because it was a matter that needed expulsion. Yeah. But you see, the guys who were in charge of them never knew. So it is possible for you to be with a child 24 hours and not know what is going on because the child.
I'm going back to one point you raised at the beginning when you said that the parent should be
friendly,
especially within the first 6 years.
Yeah, and even beyond.
Okay, but the thing is, the danger is, should parents not be parents?
No. You're
not meant to be a friend.
No, you have to. No. You see, nobody's taking it away from you. Your parents. In fact, you are that's who you are. If you have to prove it, then there's something. Yeah. If you have to prove to a child that you are the parent, then there's something wrong.
Well, that's another way to look at it.
You are parents. You are parents by virtue of the fact that they came through you. You are the channel that. Yeah. Now, the thing is this, that you have to be firm where you have to be firm. For example, a 2-year-old, I have a family with a friend. Their 2-year-old son, the mother calls him daddy. You know, the African daddy's pet, daddy, calls your son daddy. I say, you are calling your son daddy. I say, your son will misbehave, will begin to behave like daddy when daddy is not around. I said, you need to stop this thing. Yeah, you know that the child starts saying it is where daddy sits that he must sit. Nobody can sit on that chair because he's also daddy, and all of that nonsense. And I said, Lai, the moment you start enabling this, the moment you start pampering him, you will raise a teenager that is not malleable. So for me, I am willing to take that child away from that chair 20 times.
Consistency.
I'm willing. You don't believe that's not where you see you. Others can sit there. And I put you where, and I said, this is, so I only reward the behaviors that I see are positive ones. We actually want to reduce we want to, what is this word that we use in extinct? We want to actually make extinct some of the negative behaviors that children, and you have to be firm to do that. Being friendly does not mean you are not firm. You see, because that's how I introduce myself to the children I teach in schools. I said, Mr. Benjamin is a very friendly teacher, but he's very firm. But I'll be fair. I'll be firm but fair on all. And they know. Some of my students will say, Mr. Benjamin will only discipline you when you truly deserve it. Yeah. Because I get them to do my assessment at the end of term. Okay, so send in your assessment of your teacher. Most teachers don't want to do that. Send in your assessment. How can I do it better? What did I do wrong? What did I do right? How can I do it better next time? And they send in assessment. They do it. And I read and I laugh sometimes and I say, oh, this one I need to change. Really. Oh, this one. And I'm not going to take it. Oh, you said this about me. No. It's not about that. It's still about communicating.
It's about feedback and
feedback. It's about feedback, which most people don't want. You know the challenge. An African father, mother, or teacher doesn't even want to answer the question why.
Because the thing is, they probably cannot. That's what I was saying to you before.
So there's a challenge of capacity. Mm-hmm. So there's a challenge of capacity, and then there's a challenge of the fact that not being teachable. You don't want to learn new things. Being close to other ideas and all that, and saying this is the way we've always known it. And I tell people that change is the most constant thing in nature.
Absolutely.
And that no culture is superior to another. But culture must be dynamic. Culture must be dynamic. Yeah, we cannot say this is how it has always been done. Therefore, where I come from in Nigeria, we used to tribal marks was regular, was normal. Tribal marks. Yeah. But it was needed. You cannot blame the ancients. They needed it for identification. Slaves were being taken away. So if you were taken to Brazil and you saw somebody with the marks that you have in your family, that's family.
No, yeah.
You bond, so they had reasons. But today now we have NIN, we have this one, we have all the things that we need to for identification. Nobody needs to be given tribal marks again. Okay, they used to circumcise children, female children. And why they say it was because that one now is becoming, bullshit. We don't do that again. So culture must be dynamic, and that's what happened to the way we also raise children. We cannot continue to punish the African child and treat him like he was not God that created him, and to treat him in undignifying manners, and think we'll raise children that will be able to stand up for themselves. Look, this is also affecting the growth of Africa. We had the particular people who did Sorosoke thing, I think last year. For the first time, Nigerians were like, hey, so children can. I said, well, they can. We need more of that. Those people that will be able to, in critical mass, that will be able to put pressure on governance and demand what is right. And demand what is right. Because we were raised to be quiet. Raised to be quiet.
Yes.
So quiet. It has affected Africa. It is not taking us anywhere.
Yeah.
And you can demand for what is better without being violent. And the boys and girls at Lekki displayed it. A high level of collaboration, high level of innovativeness, high level of, and for the first time.
I was part of that, even though from a distance.
My students. So many of my students.
I was so impressed. I was so proud to be a Nigerian youth. I was so proud to be Nigerian.
That is the emergence of that generation that I intend to raise, and I've been part of raising. That is the emergence of that generation. Some of my students that I thought they are there, they say, sir, we are here. I said, go on. Be your best. Don't be disruptive. But demand what is right.
Wow.
The other generation cannot deliver us. No. We must have a generation that will speak up and demand and put pressure on governance.
Yeah.
Because if they don't, then you see power is sweet. Power corrupts, and corrupts absolutely. People get into power and office and they forget whatever they told you. There must be people who can say no. We are also, public political participation.
People who can call and demand accountability.
And demand accountability of power. Speak truth to power. It is very, very important. And you don't raise those children on the koboko. You don't raise such. By the time you have cowed them at home, you want them to be able to stand up for themselves out there. They can't. Teachers have quietened them down, shut them down, did everything to them. And you want them to be able to speak up. It's not going to happen. I am not afraid of children giving me alternatives to what I've said. Oh, yes, sir. Do you think this and that? I have learned a lot from my children. I observe teachers now in classrooms, and I see teachers who don't want children to speak up. I need to hear the children's voice in the classroom because we can learn from them. And I see a lot of teachers. The child says, sir, one teacher was teaching probability. Let me tell you some of my experience. And it says the probability of a man becoming a woman is a 0. And the boy said, excuse me, sir. The boy said, let me finish. I was an observer. I'm not going to interrupt. So when he was through with everything, I said, excuse me, sir, can we let this boy now speak? Please allow him. That boy taught that teacher a lesson. Because I don't think he ever had the word transgender in his life.
Yeah.
And the boy said, this example you gave in probability, the answer should be half now, because it can go either way.
Yes.
Do you understand? And the teacher was looking like this. But this is it. Allow children, please, for heaven's sake, don't dump knowledge on them. Don't think because you have brought all the knowledge, boom, boom, boom. The children also have something. Allow them.
In fact, kids have the knowledge now.
They do.
Computers, they know everything now.
But you see, parents are still operating in the analog. They're thinking that they are the children of their. No, they are far ahead of us in the exposure. When I sit down with my children and they give me, look, I tell them that if you have superior reasoning, I'll submit to it. If you have a superior reasoning about this issue, I'll let you have your way. Sometimes they do, and I say, fantastic, you have reason. I agree with that. Because that is it. You don't say, I have to say so because I'm the father. I do, but if they see from another angle, can I listen to them? We need to begin to change our perspectives, and and then we still correct children. I do correct children, like that child that I invited the mother. I said, what will you do as consequences at home? What would we do as consequences in school? When we see changes in school, we also mail you so that you can also relax consequences at home. And that's what we did. And we had a better child. And that child began to do, she became part of those who were doing MC for us at programs. Right there before I left Abuja.
Wow.
Right there.
Thank you very much, Akin Benjamin. Look, I really this is a campaign I'm with it, and I really wish you good luck on the campaign. I'm so glad to have spoken to you today. Thank you very much for coming on.
I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you. It's been a wonderful time talking to you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome.